What's going on, everybody out there? This is your boy Dev of War Room Sports. I'd like to welcome you guys to listen to episode number 250 of the War Room. In this episode, we talk about Jordan Spieth's dominance at the Masters. We talk about Aaron Hernandez, the verdict. He's going to do life, y'all. No parole. We also talk about the NBA playoffs and a whole lot more. So make sure you sit back, relax, grab some popcorn, something to drink, and take a listen to episode number 250 of the War Room that starts right now.
Peace out.
Got him!
Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the War Room. We got Dev, Kill, Jimmy, PJ, B. Austin, the Hot Block Commander. How you want it in a 1 or 2 hour show to keep the brain running with the premise to talk sports on a national level. Bold with the topics, sorta like some rebels. When it's game time, they like the Fab Five during prime time. Sports conglomerate to speak their minds a little bit. For sports medicine and sports veterans and greats. The 4th and 26th, so the war in Kuwait. It's the War Room with 5 nights at the round table. 5 Philly guys diversified and educated.
Yep.
Sports fans, what up? You are once again live in the War Room, brought to you by War Room Sports on that WRS Podcast Network. I'm Devin McMillan, and I'm back at the round table after a 2-week hiatus with my bros, Jimmy the Blueprint and the dude B. Austin. We got a great show for you today. The NBA playoffs are here. Aaron Hernandez gets roofed. We got a new youngster to compare Tiger Woods to and much more. So strap in, keep it locked right here. And if you want to get in on the live conversation, join us right now in the JW Philly Realty chat room at blogtalkradio.com/the War Room, or join us on Facebook or Twitter at War Room Sports. You can also call us directly when we open up the Digital Extreme Tech hotline. That number is 323-410-0012. That'll be in about 30 minutes. But before we get started, we got some special shout outs. When we're not live on the air, we need you to listen to all of the great shows on the War Room Sports Podcast Network. Just visit warroomsports.com and click the WRS Podcast Network tab, or listen on the War Room Sports mobile app or on iTunes. You'll find some of the best talk shows on the web, such as the Broad Street Line with Roy and Chris, After Further Review with the Mayor, the Tissue and the Tape Hip Hop Show with Phil and Savad, Sports Trap Radio with Brandon and Anthony, and a whole lot more. You can also check the listings at fatsradio.com for air times of your favorite WRSPN sports shows, including our show, The War Room, which airs over there a few times per week. So like I said, check out the listings. What up, homies? Feel like I haven't been here in like a month. I started like having withdrawals from talking my ish. What's going on with y'all?
Man, as I told you, I took a trip to the Dominican Republic to check out naked midget women's basketball. I'm an official scout for the league. Yeah. And then the other interesting thing happened. I know you brothers will appreciate this. It's not sports related, but did you guys get a chance to see JoJo, Casey, and Dalvin on the Breakfast Club?
No, I didn't say that.
Yeah, I didn't.
I can only imagine, though, now that you said it.
I saw it.
They tried to say, like, Casey tried to act like he didn't smoke crack. And they got offended when it was brought up, like, nah, just alcohol and partying.
But he said it and had like a crack voice when he said it. Like,
but you know what though, man? Like, I know cats that have never smoked crack, but they party, smoke weed, drink, and all that. Yo, you definitely do start to look like that if you at a certain amount of time, though. I'm not saying he did it. I'm not defending him and saying he did smoke crack. I'm saying it's possible. I know dudes that came up with us that
stay away from the crack
life together, and they in their second and third childhood, and they look terrible. Got a couple of my family, by the way. That's neither here nor there.
JoJo. All right, so I don't believe that for a minute. That
Casey random as hell, Austin.
I don't believe he wasn't on that KC on that CK.
He was on that Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, but look, man, like I said, it feel like I haven't been here in a month, so y'all know I'm anxious to talk some sports, and it's a whole lot of crap that went on this week in sports. So let's just jump right into these while you were on the grind topics, because it's crazy. real crazy. And while y'all on the grind, it's brought to you by DirecTV. If you'd like a better TV experience than cable has to offer, including that NFL Sunday ticket, go to our website, warroomsports.com, click on the DirecTV logo, and order yourself a better TV experience at a discounted War Room Sports sign-up rate. If you call yourself a sports fan, then you got to have DirecTV. Man, y'all man Lawrence Phillips is back in the news, man. We know that the troubled former NFL running back, he got in all kinds of trouble off the field. For the last few years, he's been in prison. I don't even know if I knew he was in prison, but this week his name came up because he's suspected of killing his cellmate in prison. He's in a prison in Central California. His cellmate was found lifeless early Saturday and later pronounced dead. They're suspecting that Lawrence Phillips had something to do with this. What are your thoughts on this? And if they found out that he did this, like, where do you go from here with this guy?
Man, I don't believe that he just did this. I'm not surprised based on the troubled past. Like, I really don't. I feel ashamed of myself, I guess, for being desensitized with recent events and all that's going on in the world, but I'm not surprised. And just like you said, I don't know that I knew that Lawrence Phillips was in prison, but if somebody walked up to me on the street unrelated to this story and asked me, well, where's Lawrence Phillips at? I would have said probably in jail. Yeah, I'd have just assumed that he was in prison.
But he's not just in jail, though. The dude was doing 31 years because he was convicted of twice choking his girlfriend. And in 2006, he drove his car into 3 teenagers after a pickup football game in L.A. I don't know what's wrong with this dude. So now, and there was a separate incident in the prison as well where another person ended up dead, and they're suspecting his cellmate. So they don't know if this is related or not. They could have been in the mess hall or whatever and decided, we're going to bump off these dudes because we don't like what they're about. And 2 dudes come up dead, and he's a suspect in his cellmate's death. It's crazy. You were already in for 31 years. His cellmate, Damian Soward, he was a 37-year-old from San Bernardino. He was serving 82 years to life for first-degree murder. So
he's a cousin of R.J. Soward, right? R.J. Soward was also a first-round draft pick, and also a bust, by the way. But they were cousins. But it's crazy.
Could have been some beef. Dude could have been saying my cousin was less of a bust than you.
You see, like, these guys who are gifted. Like, he was one of the best college running backs for that 1 year. Like, for a couple of years he was there. Of course, he tried to leave early and, like, change the paradigm in college football, but it really didn't work for him. But and a lot of times when guys don't make it, that's it, because they don't understand how to regroup and just go do something else.
They have no life skills. They have no ability outside of their sport. And he's definitely one of those dudes that probably took it to another level, because not only did he have no life skills, it's apparent that he's a sociopath.
Yeah, so it's sad, but you see that, though. Like, people just don't know. Like, you see a lot of times when people have a successful career and retire, like, they don't know what else to do with themselves, man. They've been, training, and so imagine they don't even get a chance to live up to, their dream or whatever. So it's sad, but you see it all the time with athletes, man. You got to be well-rounded.
Yeah. No doubt. Well, speaking of the prison industrial complex, Aaron Hernandez, the verdict came back in his case. You guys know they deliberated for about 6 or 7 days, and the jury came back and found Aaron Hernandez guilty on 5 different counts, one being first-degree murder, carrying a firearm without a license, carrying large capacity firearms, 2 counts of that, possession of ammunition without a FID card, and possession of firearm without an FID card. All that other stuff really doesn't matter because the first-degree murder charge is a mandatory life sentence with no eligibility for parole. So Aaron Hernandez is basically going for the long ride, boss. What are your thoughts on this? Because a lot of people thought that he might get off, the high-priced lawyers, the money, the fact that the prosecution made their whole case without motive or a murder weapon. Did you guys think does this shock you, B?
No, I'm not shocked, but I wouldn't have been shocked also alternatively if he had got off. What I'm interested in asking you gentlemen, they actually broadcast the verdict around the NBC News, local news channels. Did either of you have an opportunity to actually see that when they handed the verdict?
No.
I saw it live.
I saw the like highlights. He looked a little indifferent.
I just want to say that, my man is a stone cold psychotic killer. I've seen grown men that ate people like cry when the verdict comes down. My man rubbed his chin. And said, I'm just going to do more dips, more muscle ups, and get bigger on the bench. Like it was nothing. He
already got his affiliation. He about to ride. He's riding that 5. So my thing is this: to me, when I watched it live, it was one of the saddest things I've ever seen, because you see behind him, his family like in tears. His fiance, mother, or I doubt she is fiance now, in tears. Then you see on the other side, you see the victim's family in tears. You see all these people's lives who have been made. And it's like, it's just a sad story overall. This dude is 25 years old, playing a child's game and getting paid millions to do so. You kind of like spit in the face of everyone who, wants to kind of achieve their dream of playing in the league. And you ruined your family as well as another family. So the picture overall was complete sad. Like, and then, he has a stone cold face, but I wasn't even really paying him any attention. I'm looking at everybody else like, this dude doesn't even realize that one decision he made ruined so many lives.
Right. Like for me, I'm pretty sure, speaking on the legal process, I'm pretty sure that there's going to be an appeal for this whole thing.
I think it's
but to
automatic.
answer my other question, I didn't really follow the case, like that. So I had always had a notion that he was going to be found guilty, but it is interesting to see that this is the verdict they came back with the prosecution's case. In my opinion, having a few holes in it is kind of difficult to convict somebody, without motive, without a murder weapon, things like that. But they proved their case, at least to those jurors.
The crazy part is this:
got roofed.
He still got a couple more bodies to fight. Even though he's already going to do life.
He got a double murder charge. So this dude might be
still
sitting
got a couple more bodies to fight. You know what I mean? So it's crazy. It's crazy. And in terms of the case of him being a celebrity, even though I don't necessarily call him a celebrity, but he's a celebrity. Sometimes that works against you. Sometimes they want to prove that they're not being biased so bad that they'll roof you, even sometimes when the evidence doesn't point that way. So it can work for or against you depending upon the jurisdiction.
So he still has to fight this double murder charge. Like, is it even worth it to him? Like, do you pay lawyers to go in here, since you already got roofed? And just assuming that appeal doesn't go the way he wants it to go, like, do you waste the money on the lawyers, or do you just get that public defender?
Because here's what's going to happen. This sounds like a bad episode of a sitcom, right? Where he just says, forget it, I ain't paying the lawyers. Then he gets his other appeal, and he wins that, and they ready to release him. But now he got to serve, time because he just FOH the other one.
I would figure if the appeal came, if the second murder trial came before the appeal for the first one, then I would assume you definitely fight that, because you never know.
It's going to. It's definitely going to. His appeal is going to take years.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess Aaron his fight isn't over yet, but he threw this one away if he did indeed do this. And even if for some odd chance that he didn't do this, just the lifestyle that he was living, I think it still goes to what Jimmy was saying. Like, you're kind of spitting in the face of everybody who wants to do what you do for a living, because it's no reason to even live that type of lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? When you've quote unquote made it, that's what everybody says they want to do. They want to make it. They want to get out of that situation where they think a certain lifestyle was necessary. You made it. Like, come on, dude.
What you saying is there's no need to ride the 5 if you made it.
No need.
But it's not even that he spit in the face of people trying to make it. You spit in their crowns because they feel as though they don't have any other option. You know what I mean? Like, you got guys that like really commit crimes because in their head they feel as though there's no other option, and they're looking at you like, dog, like you. What's wrong with you?
No, that's an excellent point. And I saw the OG Trey D from the Eastsiders, Long Beach in the house, and he was saying that that's one of the biggest problems that the real like super triple OGs have with a lot of these entertainers. Even if they come from the hood, if they've had an opportunity to make it out, why would you proliferate gang culture and street culture if you had an opportunity to do good and do better? Like the whole purpose is to do better, and that gets lost in the sauce with a lot of these young cats. And so that was one of the points that he was making, is like if he could go back in life and do it differently, he wouldn't be triple OG Trey D of the Psycho Insane Crips. Like he would do it differently. So I think that they
resent, like saying triple OG.
I think they resent
OG triple.
Triple OG triple. I think they resent the Aaron Hernandez's of the world.
Yeah,
you have to.
I can see that. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Well, moving on. Riddick Bowe, former heavyweight champion Riddick Bowe, is in the news, and he's basically pleading right now, letting not a plea, but he's letting everybody know, whether you believe him or not, that he's not broke. The reason that he's in the news crying that he's not broke is because a couple days ago on his Twitter account, he announced to his 450,000 plus followers that he tweet anything they want, they want him to, if they send $20 to his PayPal account. Gave the PayPal account, and then after that, if you look at his timeline, you just see all kinds of endorsements for stuff that he's probably never heard of. What do you guys think? When you first saw this, were you thinking like, yo, this dude is broke, and I found a nice little way to come up on a couple dollars?
I think first and foremost, I need to send him a salute and shout out, because he climbed the ranks of my all-time boxing dudes just because he's a fan of the War Room, even if we paid for his fandom.
Yes, people, because we did send a dub, and he did tweet about the War Room. So out there and retweet that.
You support the War Room. So right now, you've already advanced beyond Evander Holyfield, Ken Lofton. It's like, no, I'm just playing, but
not Mike Tyson. No, he can't touch Mike.
No, Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali are untouchables. And Bernard. I think because he comes out and says he's not broke doesn't mean it's so. I think there may be some little small Semitic cat that represents him as an agent somewhere behind all of this, pulling the strings in the background.
Well,
I don't know.
I can tell you that for sure, because when we sent our $20 in, somebody's name came up, said War Room has sent $20 to, what was his name? Jason Folovich.
Rothstein Folovich.
Saw that, then I actually looked the dude up, and his name does come up as a representative of Riddick Bowe, Evander Holyfield. So then okay, this is just a rep who's controlling his Twitter account. But Riddick Bowe is saying the reason why he did this, or at least he's saying this through his representative, the reason why he did this had nothing to do with his finances, but it had everything to do with giving the quote unquote little man a voice. He was like, if I got 450,000 followers and nobody knows who these people are, and they want to get their word out there, then, he think that that's a good thing. And if those were truly his intentions, I can understand that. Listen, I saw some bigger companies actually take advantage of it, though, because I saw him tweet something from DraftKings, and DraftKings, I've seen them pay like $200-300 for somebody to put an ad in something that like 4 people are going to hear. So 450,000 followers, like for $20, they came up a little bit. So
my perspective on this is, I think it's kind of funny. I don't know whether that man is broken out. I ain't gonna speak with his money. You know what I'm saying? No chatty patty. But all I'm saying is,
no chatty
patty.
As
long as he tweeted out there.
This is what celebrities have been doing for a while. Like Kim K was like, but I mean, the thing is, no one ever went to $20. but it was like known that she would tweet for a company, but she was charging like 250 racks.
And
so
nobody ever went straight to the people. You know what I mean? Like,
she went straight to he went straight to the people. So I get this whole thing of being a man of the people, and even if it's not true, wait for him to come back and think of that, like, oh, this how I'm gonna flip it.
Jimmy, this is an opportunity to send a salute to Dame Dash, because Riddick Bowe is cutting out the middleman and going direct to consumer.
and Jim, you mentioned Kim K. Kim K, she gets so much money. She'll tweet back-to-back tweets from Coke and Pepsi and get like $1 million for it for the day. Like, but there's no brand loyalty with Kim K.
First thing I did was I was trying to look up and see if Lennox Lewis was on Twitter, because I was going to try to like pay Riddick Bowe to say something smart to him. You know what I mean?
We should start some trouble.
He been ducking Lennox Lewis for like 30 years. So I wasn't he still was going to duck him.
He definitely sent some tweets out, because I looked at his timeline. He was like, if you don't buy this, I will show up at your house and beat you up. So he definitely was tweeting some nut stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they were copy and paste from what people were sending. And as long as they sent 20, and I guess if it didn't put his life in danger, he was going to tweet it.
He wasn't going to tweet Lennox, though. I could promise you that. I could promise you he was not going to tweet Lennox Lewis. He's definitely afraid of that. He ducked him for so long. You remember when he tried to fight him in the WBC or whatever, was like, you got to fight him, and he had a press conference and throw their belt in the trash, like they're not going to tell me who to fight. Like, he was that afraid.
He rebellious. He rebelled against that ass woman.
He's a rebellious coward.
Trash, like, I ain't fighting Lennox.
He's cowardly rebellious.
I bangs with Riddick, man. I was at Howard University back in like the mid to late 90s, and he actually came into the School of Business and tried to enroll. And I thought it was successful because everybody looked happy when he left, but I never saw him in any classes. But I need to check his profile and see if he had a degree from Howard or something. But yeah, I actually met him that day. He was a cool cat, and he didn't ask me for a dub that day. So
I'm surprised Dev went for that. As Jimmy said, he was getting some yam. He was getting some yam.
He did jump out of the white Rolls Royce to come into the School of Business and park somewhere where you weren't even allowed to park. Like, I got tickets there, but he could park where he felt like because he was Riddick Bowe. But
my man Lennox Lewis straight won the belt because the Bowe refused to fight him, so they just handed it over to him, like, huh?
And then he held it for how long? All right, so yeah, shout out to him, man.
All time, though, man. Like, I know we running late, but he might be one of the most underrated boxers, man. Because, Lennox, got in the ring with a lot of of guys of that time and had a lot of success, man.
Oh yeah, Lennox. He was. I mean, I'm not crapping on him because he is a good fighter.
I be often,
but he came along. He came along at that point where the heavyweight division was just about to fall off. Like, Mike Tyson was garbage. He beat him up. But he did what he had to do.
He got the ring.
Watch him mouth.
It didn't turn into a Roy Jones situation where you stayed too long and
Didn't he beat Klitschko one time? Nah, man. I think he beat the Klitschko. Did he beat the Klitschko one time? One of them Klitschkos.
Yeah, he beat.
I know he fought Holyfield. He fought Holyfield.
Not the good one.
But he beat Mike so bad. Mike was kissing him on the cheek at the end of the fight. Apologizing.
First he wanted to eat his kids, and then he was kissing him on his cheeks. But back to Riddick Bowe real quick. Like, he and Holyfield had some of the best heavyweight fights that people would ever see in their lives. Like, they had some wars. But let's talk about something else that could end up in some fisticuffs. Lil Wayne is moving, and people are probably like, what the hell does that have to do with the War Room, sports, anything like that? Well, everybody who's in the know of this situation would think that Chris Bosh is really, really excited that Lil Wayne is moving because these guys live on the same block. And we heard the rumors from back in 2013 that Lil Wayne was crushing Chris Bosh's wife. So we're pretty sure Chris Bosh, he put his house on the market. Lil Wayne did. So Chris Bosh is probably, as they said in the news reports, he's probably hoping that he moves sooner rather than later. But some more details came out about the whole Lil Wayne, Mrs. Bosh situation, and they were saying that when Chris Bosh used to be on the road, playing in road games, Lil Wayne used to smash his wife, but he didn't come into the house. He didn't invite her into his house. He used to smash Chris Bosh's wife in a car. Now, this was from somebody. This is from somebody, quote unquote, close to the situation. So, what do y'all think of that?
The funny thing is, this
he treating your wife like that. He can't even take her to the telly. He can't invite her in your garage.
There was stories about this a couple years ago, and the stories back then, people just brushed them off as being rumors. But I remember on the same website that reported this story, they said that there were a lot of people that were, for the most part, he didn't care because that was his beard, and he really, is what we think he is. That was a real story.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that, and this was probably politically
a real story that people said was just a rumor, but
this is a politically incorrect way of saying it. But I know all y'all that are listening in to this, the greatest sports media show in the world, are probably thinking it. 2/3 of your hosts right now are married. So we apologize, ladies. You can still get a poster of us. There is no possible way. It's not really humanly possible for a man to allow another man to put his wife's feet by her ears and do what he wants, and you're gonna stay married and okay with it. One time,
I couldn't even take rumors though.
Let alone, I couldn't take rumors.
I couldn't be able to take rumors of it.
So for him to be able to take that, keep his marriage intact, damn all the cheaper to keeper stuff. Yo, somebody got to die. That's just what it is.
Wallace style. Somebody got
Wallace salute. Somebody got to die. So this really does for me, confirm that Bosh is the greatest transsexual basketball player to ever exist, and he will go into the Hall of Fame as a champion for the LGBTQ community. There's no way that you accept that as a straight man. You can't. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I mean, because this is 2015, man. These rumors have been floating around for almost 3 years.
Not only that, do you realize when you look at Lil Wayne, he looks like a herpy? I'm not going after that.
So that means he had to give it. He had to give it to him if he looked like one.
I'm not.
And this is all just aside. There were rumors that some of his teammates in Miami was smashing. Now who knows what's true? But it was so many rumors. I'm like, damn, she giving it up like that?
I mean, he overachieved. I mean, I beat.
But, he got his coverage. Real quick there, before you give us the next story, Skyviews in our chat room says he has a meeting in a second, but he wanted to chime in and send a special FOH to all these college basketball players that declared early for the draft that advised them to do it. So, want to send that out before he goes to his meeting.
He said FOH to their parents that couldn't wait another year or two to watch their kids play in the D League. And FOH to the prognosticators that say Justice Winslow will be a top 6 pick.
FOH to everybody, basically, from Skyview.
Yeah. All right, shout out to you, Skyview. All right, last thing that happened this week while y'all were on the grind. This was a case of it could have been a case of Twitter trolling, or just could have been a case of this is what this guy believes. But Pistons point guard Brandon Jennings started a tweet series that started with him saying that Chris Brown is quote unquote way more talented than Michael Jackson. Now, what do you fellas have to say to Brandon Jennings on that?
Brandon Jennings, I actually like you as a player, and I respect your taste in women, because salute to Tiana Taylor and her mom, but I'm gonna smack the ish out of you when I see you. And that's I'm gonna smack the ish out of you. You out of control.
So you out of control.
King of pop, though.
Stay away from the crack.
Pop. Exactly.
I have this theory, right? And in my theory, I believe that everybody thinks that everything during their day is better than you know, what came before it and what comes after.
I agree. Yeah, I knew you were going with that.
But let me finish though. There's certain caveats.
There's a however coming or a but.
Michael Jackson is one of them. I think Michael Jackson is one of them. You know what I mean? Like, yo, there's just certain things that it could have been Twitter trolling. He could really feel that way. You know what I'm saying? But I think Michael Jackson is exempt from that rule. I know that some people are like, yo, the food was better during their time, the basketball was better, the women were better, everything is better during their time, and I get that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree with you, Jim.
But yeah,
I agree.
There's some things that, you know, just exempt from that.
Yeah. I mean, but he took it to the extreme. It wasn't even, I think Chris Brown is better, but the language that he used. I'll read a series of tweets. First of all, it started with a troll type tweet because he said, I need y'all attention right now because this is my opinion. That was one tweet. So you know he about to say some effed up stuff. He said, I believe Chris Brown is way more talented than Michael Jackson. Only thing stopped that was stuff outside of music. His next tweet said, Chris Brown talent is scary, man. Next one says, Chris Brown dance way better than Michael Jackson. Bet on that. Think about this. Chris Brown, if that drama outside of music don't happen, he would be the biggest star out right now. But does the biggest star out right now equal like maybe the biggest star
no, but hold on, though.
Ever graced the planet?
But
like,
listen, though, Dad. Here's how you squash that. Yo, Michael Jackson went on trial for but his talent was such that, yo, we try to ignore that.
Yeah. No, yeah, he is one of those transcendent dudes. But listen, his last one was saying, he said, y'all missing what I'm saying because, you know, everybody on Twitter went on him. He said, YouTube Chris Brown dancing. He can do any dance move and get on any track. He should be the pop king. My thing real quick, B, before you say that is he's talking about talent, but all he seems to be talking about is dancing. You know what I'm saying? Chris Brown is a very good dancer. So, I mean, and he does everything to emulate Michael Jackson. And I'm not one of those people who thinks that the student can't be better than the teacher. But he's saying he's using the word talent, and Chris Brown can't sing his way out of a brown paper bag. Like Mike had the soft voice, but when Mike, you know, got on a song where he needed to blow, Mike was a much better singer than Chris Brown. Talent is relative, and there's more categories to talent than just dancing. But you still can't say anybody is a way better talent, even dancing wise, than Michael Jackson. Like, come on now.
Yo, but here's the thing though. He's the biggest pop star right now in terms of like popular music. Chris Brown is, I would say, this day and age is Michael Jackson, but things are just different. No one will ever be as big as Michael was in terms of celebrity for various reasons. Because first of all, we have so much access to people, so things are just a little bit different now. There was more of a mystery behind Michael Jackson because you couldn't just tweet him and do these kind of things. So, but in terms of compare and contrast, like he might be the Michael Jackson of this day, but he'll never be as big as Michael Jackson for various reasons. He'll never have the album sales because people don't buy music anymore. So I think it was just like, you know, there's so many things wrong with things outside of music. Michael had like more serious things. Not saying that what he did wasn't serious. Yeah, well, Michael literally went on trial, which was on TV, and he was then some egregious things. But Mike's talent was so crazy. We act like that didn't happen.
Yeah, and as far as the dance thing goes, like I don't even think it's far-fetched. Like I don't say, like if somebody came to me and said, yo, I think Chris Brown might be a better dancer than Michael Jackson, I'm not going to go crazy about that. I'm really not going to go crazy about that because a lot of these guys who've emulated Michael Jackson, you know, this is 25, 30 years later. So, you know, dancing evolves. Like there's stuff that they're going to add to it, just like a basketball player. Like you might emulate a dude in his moves, but you're going to add some stuff to that because this is years and years later. So yeah, the guys that are out dancing right now, they're doing a whole lot of crazy stuff in addition to what they stole off of Mike. And that's what it's supposed to do. You know, music, dancing, sports, everything is supposed to evolve. So that wouldn't offend me, but to just say straight out that he's a way better talent than Michael Jackson, like you are tripping. The dude can't even.
I didn't even want to make this about Chris Brown because you know, objectively in a vacuum, I do think he's very talented. He has the acting thing going for him, dancing, whatever, yada yada yada. Cool, but I just think looking at the originator of the tweet, he was tripping. So it's not, for me, it's not even about Chris Brown. Like, I think, and there's really no excuse, because there's two ways to look at this. There's the, this day and age is, folks are inundated with media and inundated with content, but they also have access. Like, they have unprecedented access to past media content. They can see Mike. They can get intimately familiar with Mike's work, both on film and in the song. So I think, like, there's no excuse for that. Go compare and contrast. You tripping, young boy.
But Michael Jackson is the dude who stands the test of time. Like, my son is 3 and he's a big Michael Jackson fan. I don't even think Mike was alive when he was born. But look, so before we get into these birthdays, B. Austin, I just want to give Lawrence Phillips, whether he did it or not, Aaron Hernandez,
KC and JoJo.
If he's not genuine, KC and JoJo, Chris Bosh, not even Lil Wayne. We'll give it to Chris Bosh for allowing this to go down, and Brandon Jennings, all of y'all.
You should be ashamed of yourself, the way you carry yourself.
All right, B, let everybody know who's having a birthday today.
Absolutely. Got to get to the birthdays, and those birthdays are brought to you by Digital Extreme Technologies. Do you or your business need a custom website? Well, for dynamic, professional, and most of all, affordable custom website solutions, you need Digital Extreme Technologies. No need to break the bank for an effective online presence. Top quality, results-driven websites at incredibly affordable prices. Financing options are available. Visit digitalextremetechnology.com or dial 267-205-4203. And for the discount, for the hookup, to holla if you hear me, make sure that you tell them War Room Sports sent you.
My birthday.
On to these birthdays. Luol Deng, the Sudanese assassin, turns 30. Wow. He's 30. Amazing.
Wow, Jonathan, remember, he's supposed to be on the show like 2.5 years ago. What happened to that?
Yeah, Lou, come on.
Stop
Jonathan Vilma. He turns 33.
From the
Boris Diaw, aka Shrek, aka Doc Bayon's top 5 all-around player ever. Boris Diaw turns 33. Yes, we played you out. Dead or alive, on arrival. The Wizard, overrated. Walt Williams turns 45.
Yo, you think the Wizard overrated?
A little bit. I'm here in DC, man. You gotta understand.
You are in the district. You are in the district. So he probably like second to Mike.
Bruce Bochy. Bruce Bochy turned 60. Bill Belichick turned 63. The captain, one of the greatest of all time, bar none, ever, anywhere. Alhamdulillah, mashallah, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar turned 68. Man, where do y'all rank him all time on centers? Don't answer that. We gotta get into that later. Dick Night Train Lane. Now, I will say this without argument: the greatest cornerback to ever play, Dick Night Train Lane, and check his resume with the ladies too. Passed away in 2002, but rest in peace, Dick Night Train Lane. Those are our birthdays. We'd like to give a nice big War Room salute to all of these folks on their birthday.
All right.
My birthday, yay!
I think Austin trying to say he was giving out dick on the night train, but y'all can check out our website, warroomsports.com. While you're there, be sure to sign up for the War Report. That's our company newsletter. Click on the Contact Us tab to send us a message about the company, the show, or inquire about sponsorship and advertising opportunities. For general inquiries, just send us an email, info@warroomsports.com. While you're browsing the site, click on the memorabilia tab, buy some War Room Sports merchandise. We got a few new t-shirts in the mix. Click the blog tab to read our latest sports articles in the All's Fair in Sports and More blog. Then click the respective icons and tabs to like our Facebook page or follow us on Twitter, subscribe to our iTunes podcast, watch our webcast at War Room Sports TV, listen to our network, and to download our free War Room Sports mobile app to get everything I just mentioned on the go. And if you do have the app, God bless you. And if you have the Android version of the app, we just pushed through a new update. So if you don't get automatic updates, you might want to go to the Google Play Market and go to the War Room Sports page on that and click update so you can get the newest version. I think if you still have the older version, it might be freezing on you. But if you don't already have it, then this doesn't apply to you. But make sure you go to Google Play Market or the Apple App Store and get that app. Support the bros. All right. So, of course, as usual, we'll be taking questions and reading posts from the chat room during the show. So if you want to get in the chat room and talk with us during the show, that's blogtalkradio.com/the war room. To enter the chat room, all you got to do is sign up for a free profile on Blog Talk Radio if you don't already have one. But if you don't have one and you don't want one, you can also sign in through your Facebook and Twitter accounts. And while you're in there, just make sure you click that follow button so you can get updates and reminders about the show. So I already told you guys, we'll be taking questions from the chat room, Twitter, Facebook. But if you want to call in and speak to us, the Digital Extreme Tech hotline is now open. That number is 323-410-0012. Press 1 when prompted. If you're already listening from your phone, just press 1 if you want to holler at the fellas. But right now, while we're waiting on some of you guys to call with some of your topics, we're going to get into some hot topics. And Jimmy, hot topics are brought to you by...
The hot topics are brought to you by Audible. Is your schedule too hectic to read as much as you want? Try audiobooks and kick back and let someone else do the reading for you. Visit audibletrial.com/warroomsports, and in no time, you can be put onto the audiobook game. If you like audiobooks and you don't have Audible, I don't know what to tell you because that's where it all is. Everything, with the exception of the Culture Vultures audiobook. But right now, I'm finishing up a book called Animal. It's like a gangster urban tale, but it's pretty good. Got that on Audible. You can get a free book though. audibletrial.com/warroomsports, and shout out to Audible for their support of the War Room.
No doubt. All right. So 21-year-old Jordan Spieth basically ran a Boston on the Masters last week. He led the Masters wire to wire for his first major win on the PGA Tour. Now, of course, every time some young guy wins something, and especially in a dominating fashion like he did last week, the first person he gets mentioned with and compared to is Tiger Woods. He was actually, I believe, like 8 months younger than Tiger when Tiger basically did the same type of thing to the Masters field. What did you guys think about this? Because all I heard all week, I think a lot of people was actually slighting the dominance that he showed in his game, throughout that weekend, because all I'm hearing when I'm listening to the talking heads is how it's refreshing to see a young guy and a champion, and he's not cursing when he hits a bad shot and stuff like that. So we know who they're taking shots at when they do that. Why do you guys think it's necessary to take shots at somebody that they basically, slurped for the past 15 years?
Because, it's like, only thing better than yams is new yams. So he's a new thing, right? So now, they're gonna jawbone him until he gets old and someone comes to replace him, and they're gonna find a way to slander him. That's just the way the game goes.
That's if he can stay consistent, though, because Rory's still the number one player in the world. So,
I was getting ready to say, in the words of Brand Nubians, though, slow down. Let this man, do what he has to before we start crowning him. You know what I mean? Before you want to crown him, go ahead and crown his ass, but give him a chance. You do him a disservice by trying to compare him to all-time greats already. It is good to see a young guy come in and do his thing, but you know, I guess it's inevitable that they're going to make comparisons, but you kind of like, you know, you're not doing him any service by doing that.
Well, it's kind of like the Tiger, not the overall comparison, but the Tiger at that age, at the Masters comparison, you have to do that because the similarities in the way that they ran through the tournament, you know, it was undeniable the similarities in that. But like you said, as far as going forward, because they're already talking about how, you know, Tiger and Phil, that's another generation, that's a step down, and now the new generation, the new rivalry is going to be McIlroy versus Spieth. But it's like, okay, McIlroy is great to say his name. He has 4 majors already. But Spieth, this is his first one. Like, let him do something else before you even put his name in there. Somebody else could step up and be Rory McIlroy's, you know, rival for the next 15 years. The last I checked a little earlier today, you know, Spieth was like 2 over par at the RBC. So he isn't hardly competing this week like he did last week. Not to say if he doesn't play that great this week that, you know, he's nothing. But like Jimmy said, man, slow down a little bit. You know, let the man get his
You know what,
bearings.
like the thing about it is, in order to win championships, even in individual sports as well as team sports, there are so many things that have to go right. There's so many variables. There's so many distractions that anything could happen. So you have to like let the things play out. I mean, for all we know, he can get caught in a sex scandal soon, and then everything's over with. Like, you just never know what may happen. You know what I mean? Like, if you think about Tiger's dominance, his dominance wasn't lost as a result of anything on the golf course.
I mean, he set some records though. I mean, he was one of only 3 players to have won the Masters in one of his first 2 starts. And I believe he was the runner-up last year in his first start at Augusta. A couple other things he did this week. His 36-hole record at 14 under, 130. That was a record. He had a 54-hole record at 16 under. He had the most birdies for the tournament at 28, and he had the lowest opening round by a champion at 64. Late in the tournament, he was going for one of like Tiger's his record for the entire tournament, but he missed the putt, so he didn't get that record. But you know, he played well. Like, it was a wire-to-wire victory, and he definitely dominated. So, you know, good luck to the young fella in the future. You know, I hope you become everything that they're making you out to be already. But the lesson that you get from the fellas here in the War Room from this is to all the talking heads: slow down just a little bit. Slow down. So, something that's a little more in our wheelhouse. The fight last week, the big fight on NBC. Danny Garcia defeats Lamont Peterson in a majority decision. And the judges had the fight 115-113 for Garcia, 114-114 on Don Ackerman's card. And the third judge also scored it. I'm sorry. That was ESPN's score. ESPN.com scored it 114-114. So a lot of people were thinking that at best it could have been a draw. It was a little controversial because there's a lot of people out there who says they think Lamont Peterson won the fight. What did you guys think of the fight? Because I know I have some opinions on why it happened the way it did, and I don't really think it's controversial. But
I think that he won. I think that Danny Garcia won. I have to start by saying that I definitely have Philly bias, but trying to be objective in this, Peterson ran the majority of the fight. So even though he fought a good fight, which he did, a lot of times when you watch fights throughout history, judges kind of penalize people who run while fighting. You know what I mean? Like, it's difficult to win a fight moving backwards. Now, some rounds he switched his style and start coming forward, and I assume that they gave him those rounds. But I definitely think that he fought a good fight. I think it could have been better if he didn't run as much. But I just want to say before B. Austin goes that overall, I've been very impressed with these NBC fight cards. Because the fight before that was excellent. So I definitely have been shout out to NBC because I've enjoyed both of them so far, and I'm looking forward to the next one. But that's my opinion in that. And also, I can admit my Philly bias, but Sugar Ray Leonard, you got to chill. His bias was so evident and so disgusting.
That's
That's
why
probably why a lot of people
That's
think
why
that. That's why people think Lamont won.
Lamont couldn't move around as effectively because he had Sugar Ray Leonard in his shorts. I mean, how can you fight with another man in your shorts? I'm in agreement.
Commentators were a little egregious. Go ahead, B.
I'm in agreement with you, Jimmy, and honestly, I really don't have Philly bias in this. I mean, salute to the crib, and Danny has held us down many a day in many a fight. In this, Lamont Peterson is bigger, stronger, faster, hits harder, and had he go ahead and switched his style up earlier on in the fight, he probably would have won. This is a lesson, and I've been on the other end of this lesson, so this isn't said with some condescending airs to our listeners, but this is a lesson in the sweet science in boxing, and it shows the difference between a fight and a slugfest that can occur in the ring, out of the ring, on the street, anywhere, and boxing, because Lamont is the better athlete. It was his tactics and strategy that ruined this opportunity for him, because he ran, jump in, throw one punch, run away. Jump in, throw one punch, run away. And he was looking out for that left hook.
Kind of like a weak jab. Yeah.
A jab. It was a jab. It was a probing jab. He ran away from Danny Garcia's left hook and his straight right for 6 rounds. And the problem is 3 rounds into the fight, he felt those and he realized, he said, yo, this dude can't knock me out. He doesn't.
Yeah, not what I thought he was.
He can't hit.
He showed him too much respect.
Right. He showed too much respect. And by round 7, he was like, look, man, F this strategy stuff. I can just body beat this dude and win. Had he done that 3 rounds earlier, he would have won. Had he done that 6 rounds earlier from the outset, essentially, probably would have. He would have dominated and probably got a TKO, because Danny bruises pretty easy and he cuts pretty easy from Lamont. So this was strategy. This was a strategy loss, and I put the loss on both on Lamont, but also on his corner for not telling him to be more aggressive earlier on. And I've seen this happen to one of the greatest of all time, one Bernard the Alien Executioner Catfish Hopkins, starting too late. You started too late, dog.
And you speak of the corners, B. That's one of my pet peeves in fights, when, like, I know you have to say stuff to keep your fighter's confidence up, but don't make him think he's winning a fight that he's not winning. You know what I'm saying? Like, now this is a thing that I can say. It may sound funny to some people out there listening, but in my opinion, Lamont Peterson beat Danny Garcia up, but Lamont Peterson lost that fight. Lamont Peterson, like B and Jimmy had said before me, waited too long to actually start fighting. So the early rounds were clearly going to Danny Garcia, and it wasn't just off activity, but he just didn't have to do much to win the round. So I'm not saying that Danny Garcia dominated the early part of the fight, but he won round after round just because Lamont Peterson wanted to dance around. And I'm talking literally at times. Like, he's out there dancing and doing dance moves that he would do in the club as if he's winning the fight. And I didn't understand these tactics. I'm like, why are you out there showboating and showing off? And like, anybody in your corner should be able to tell you, like, yo, you're most likely down on points right now. So like, when he did start fighting, it seemed like it started to come a little easy for him. I saw some moments late in the fight where he actually had Danny Garcia hurt. And as B mentioned before, if you can get those moments earlier, he might have ended this fight and not even had to go to a decision. But I do want to laugh heartily at people out there who try to judge fights by comparing the fighters' faces, which is the silliest thing like I've ever seen. Like, because you damaged the light-skinned dude's face a little bit, whose face is a little, doesn't mean that you won the fight just because, you can go to the club and not look like a gremlin that night. Fights are scored on points. And it doesn't matter how hard you hit the dude late in the fight and made his face look. He lost the fight, and I think Lamont Peterson has no one to blame except for himself. I know it's easy for us to say had he started earlier, he would have dominated this fight. I mean, it's easy to say because we don't know how it actually would have played out if he would have tried to be aggressive earlier. You know, Danny Garcia may have responded in a different manner, but from the way it ended, it looked like he had to do was start earlier, and he would have fought the better fight.
I honestly think that his corner thought he was winning. I think they think he was winning.
Why though?
But the problem, I guess the gist of this whole thing is more than Danny winning this fight, Lamont Peterson lost this fight. And Lamont Peterson is one of those guys that I generally root for when watching boxing. I don't have a favorite boxer because who does? That's kind of weak these days. But anyway, but there's certain guys that you root for. So I definitely usually root for him. But you know, since he was fighting some dude from the hometown, I wasn't. But watching the fight, I agree with you. He lost that fight. I don't think Danny necessarily won it. But Lamont Peterson lost that fight. That fight was there for him. If I'm Danny Garcia, I don't fight him again. Because what's the point?
Yeah,
what you know what I mean? Like,
you can't fight him again. And Lamont is the better athlete. But I think Danny showed that, you know, in understanding the sport, strictly inside the constraints of the sport, he's the better boxer because he pointed.
I agree.
You know, and I saw Danny. I even saw Danny. I watched that fight intently. I was close into it. I saw when Danny realized that he was in the ring with a gorilla. Like he realized I'm not getting no knockouts. I got to knuckle up. And I don't think Lamont came to the realization that, it's kind of like a quarterback that we know of who quarterbacked our Philadelphia Eagles for many, many years. When the play is called, he's going to stick to the play. No audibles, no strategy change, no understanding of the game. I'm just sticking to the game plan. When in essence, he could have audibled much earlier. Like, I'm really upset with Lamont, you know, and I was rooting for Danny, but I'm upset with Lamont. Like, yo, I hate to see stupid sports. That was dumb sports to me.
Yeah, I mean, because in a situation like that, no matter who you're rooting for, you can tell when somebody is doing something silly. Like, it really ticked me off when he was like dancing and showboating and stuff. Like, yo, you didn't do anything to do this. All you're doing right now is wasting time. And you know, it kind of ticked me off. Like, I'm sitting there looking at the TV like, yo, what are you doing? Anybody, you know, you could go to my Twitter feed and go back to that day and you can see that this is the stuff that I'm saying. Like, yo, what is he doing? Like, who told him that he was winning this fight and he should be out here, you know, doing his two-step in the middle of the ring? I gotta
correct myself. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was saying he was giving Ray Leonard a blumpkin because Ray Leonard was giving him a blumpkin. They was just exchanging stuff back and forth.
Exchanging spit or swallow. No, you spit. No, you swallow. I gotta correct myself. There was a time because Danny is 33-0, I believe now 34-0. I was talking that I'd like to see him get in the ring with Floyd. I would like to correct myself. And he never will be. I think Danny has reached his ceiling. Salute to him. He's done well, but Floyd is on a whole other level, and he ain't ready.
Yeah, and it's not. I don't know about you, but for me, like the reason I agree with you is not just because of this fight. I think the last couple fights, I think Danny Garcia has been exposed a little bit, and you know, unless he can come out and show something better, unless he has that extra gear in him that shows, okay, these fights are getting more difficult now and I got to step it up another notch. Unless he has that, like, I definitely would have to agree with you about if he's not at his ceiling, he's near his ceiling. But I mean, he's a young guy, so it's no saying that he can't get better. He just has to get better right now if he expects to stay recognized as a quote unquote elite fighter, because he hasn't looked elite for his last 2 or 3 matches. But I'm sure a lot of people disagree, especially people from the area, from the DMV, because I saw a lot of them saying that Lamont was robbed. I saw a couple of people that were actually objective, that were rooting for Lamont and just said that
they don't understand boxing.
He started too late. But we'll see if they decide to give it another go. But like you guys say, if I'm Danny Garcia, I probably don't want to accept that
Yo,
fight.
one last point.
Yep.
Yo. One last point. In the beginning of the fight, they kept pointing out. It was like, Lamont Peterson has a tendency to start off slow. Let's see if he does it. And he damn sure did. Like, they kept saying it. I'm like, damn, how about that?
But then they also kept saying that he was showing ring generalship. Like, yo, he wasn't doing anything. Ring generalship.
That's once they got the Sugar Ray. That's once they got the Sugar Ray. And I think that his trainer and Sugar Ray must be Masonic brothers or something, because Sugar Ray could have given his trainer.
Ring
Sugar Ray.
They go to the lodge.
Sugar Ray
He was showing ring coward. He was showing ring cowardship. Like, he was running, man. Stop that mess. Sugar
All right,
Ray
so-
made an excuse.
I don't know if y'all saw this video, but y'all man JJ Watt, the freak, he announced his new deal with Reebok basically by doing a YouTube video of him doing a box jump 5'1" off the ground. This dude just a standing still vertical leap and jumped. Yo, he's a freak, man. And did y'all see this video? Because I think I might have shared it with y'all.
I saw the video.
Yo,
I don't know how that can help you in football, but it was an amazing feat.
I
And
know.
I also think it was one of the. I also think it was
Well,
one of the
it
smartest
does,
things
Jim. You
because-
see how many passes he knocks down? I mean,
Did you see? I saw what I noticed about this was just from a marketing standpoint. I saw how many news outlets shared this.
Right.
You can't buy that kind of publicity because he did such an amazing feat, and then as soon as he did it, he started pumping his sneaks like the Reebok pump jump. I was like, wow, that was a dope campaign because it was on ESPN, it was on Fox, it was on NBC.
And they didn't spend,
It was-
they didn't spend no
they
money.
didn't have to spend
They
$2
ain't
million to make
spend
a
no
commercial.
money.
Exactly. I was like, wow, that's dope. That's what I thought of when I saw this. Like, man, dope campaign.
I got a question, and y'all can probably answer this and know where I'm going, but where did they find him? Because they don't have that type of athleticism. Like, where did he come from?
He was made in a lab. He was made in a lab in Wisconsin.
Test tube, baby. Test tube, baby.
Yeah, he's definitely a product of science.
Yo,
Yeah. Yo,
He's
the
like
interesting thing
300
about
pounds.
this, the interesting thing about this, because you guys talked about how, Reebok didn't have to spend any money. I don't know how many people remember this, but Reebok now is a subsidiary of Adidas. I know I forgot about it until this whole thing happened. However, Reebok has no branding rights in the NFL. So he can't, he's going to wear his shoes in games, but they're going to be unbranded. They're not going to be able to put a Reebok sign on there. Adidas, Under Armour, and Nike all have branding rights in the NFL. So JJ Watt, he says this, and maybe unless because the figures of the deal hasn't come out yet, so maybe you can take him at face value. He was saying he picked the company that he thought had the best products to fit him. And you would wonder, is he telling the truth? Because he can't rock the label, during the game. So is he really picking this company because he's comfortable in their apparel?
He's never come off as a guy who is all about the money, even though he has a huge contract. But when he had his huge contract, he didn't even show up. He was working out and had his agent show up. He's never come off as that. And the thing about it is, you're right. They are a subsidiary of Adidas, and I think Puma is at this point too. Yo, it's like in every sort of situation, there's always two dominant companies, man. That's just what it is. The world is owned by two companies in every genre of anything. But with that being said, I kind of may agree with him in terms of what he's going to do. But it seems like he may be marketing himself as like a CrossFit athlete or something, because Reebok is heavy into that. And you just talked about his athletic prowess, man. So
yeah, they reign in CrossFit.
There's a market for him outside the game of actual football where they can use him to market those products because he's such a freak of nature.
Jim, you're probably exactly right, because what I read, it says they're going to outfit him during his intense training and workout regime. So as because everybody, he's known to be like the newest freak out there in the NFL. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of his training and workouts started to be filmed. You know what I'm saying? Maybe a little reality show on the off season or something like that. So Reebok is going to get their return on investment here because, he might not be able to get him branded on the field every Sunday, but they're going to make sure that he has cameras everywhere else he is so they can get their return on investment. I'm pretty sure that has to be a part of the deal,
You gentlemen hit the nail on the head with that. I mean, he's one of those guys where Reebok isn't going after capturing market share via the NFL. They're going to say, well, watch J.J. Watt ride a bicycle 100 miles. Watch J.J. Watt skydive. Watch J.J. Watt go scuba diving in our shoes. Watch J.J. Watt compete in the Ironman. You know what I'm saying? So all that's going to happen. And us,
you scuba diving shoes.
We at War Room Sports better than anybody. No, it's all about content creation.
That's how you laughing, and they probably gonna use those exact same phrases and terms in a commercial. And we're gonna be pissed. Watch.
Scuba flip. I know. Cut the check.
So they're gonna flip the whole Bo Jackson John and then make it JJ Watt.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, B.
He's very marketable. He's very marketable. That's what it's gonna be. I'm sure of it. I'm positive. That's how they're approaching this with him.
All right. Well, sticking with the NFL, real quick before we get into Basketball Central, I just have a question for you guys because I'm starting to see, and I don't know if this is a product of overanalyzation. When we get to things, especially like the NFL draft, a lot of people have their opinions, and then you have so much time in between when you make that opinion and when the actual event comes that you get to overanalyze and overthink everything you've ever said. Same thing happens like with the 2-week lull, the Super Bowl. You might think one team is going to win, and then you start overanalyzing, and by the time the game comes, you switched your pick 4 times, and you're back to your original pick. But Marcus Mariota his stock seems to be rising a little bit, and I'm starting to hear a lot of draft pundits say that he might end up being the first quarterback taken, and not just thinking from a Tampa Bay Buccaneers point of view. A lot of these guys are actually changing their opinion, and saying that he's the better quarterback between Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston. And a lot of guys who were already on that train, like maybe a Mike Mayock, they're just starting to chirp a little bit louder now, whereas in the beginning they were in the background because it seems like most of the pundits thought that Jameis Winston was the better prospect. Have you guys changed up on this? Or if not, how can you explain that these guys, haven't played? And I was listening to Sports Trap Radio the other day with the homies Brandon and Anthony. Shout out to them. And, it's same kind of question that Anthony raised on that show. Like, how can you explain the fact that these guys haven't played another game since the last time we saw them? The workouts, the public workouts, the pro day and the combine are what they are. How all of a sudden can one player start rising over another one when he seemingly was so far beneath the first player to begin with?
Okay, so here's what's happening. Marcus Mariota, for all intents purposes, is a very marketable brand. You have a Hawaiian American, Pacific Islander gentleman. He has a certain look, certain height,
image,
certain skill set, certain image. And I do not think that Marcus Mariota is going to come into the NFL and be a complete and utter flop. In other words, AKA, I don't think he is Geno Smith. He's not headed to Bumdom. He's not EJ Emanuel. And I know it's EJ Emanuel, but bump that. I say EJ Emanuel. I believe that Marcus Mariota is going to be mediocre to good. Mediocre to good. A mediocre to good. Better, I believe, based on humility. Not saying that he's a humble guy, but he probably does not have the ego that Bob Norbert has. And so I think that you can create a team and create circumstances that will allow Marcus Mariota to have a measure of success and it be sellable. Because remember, and then this is something that we lose sight of because football and all sports at this point are marketed as storylines and certain stars are the heroes of those stories, we forget that this is a team sport. And you have no further to look than the former world champions, the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson throws the football last season 17 times a game. They run the ball damn near 40 times a game. They only put it in his hands to throw it. Yeah, if you can create a situation where you give Marcus Mariota a superior running game and he only throws the ball 15 to 20 times a game, you can win 10, 12, 14 games that way. And so I can see how they get behind Marcus Mariota. He has a measure of success. They look brilliant, but his face is plastered everywhere. And I believe that is now a part of sports. I think these draft pundits and these sports analysts aren't just saying this because of the skill set. They're looking at what is marketability. He's a marketable dude. If they'd love to have him versus someone of Jameis Winston's background and his, Jameis Winston's background, Jameis Winston's history, come to the NFL, and there's a measure of risk with him from a behavior standpoint. Behavior-wise, Jameis.
A lot of these dudes, a lot of these dudes, whether it's an excuse or not, or just a reason for them to put him above Jameis Winston and starting to talk about this mobility thing. Now, do you believe in that? Because I know we've preached for years, like, okay, your quarterback, like, I'd rather have a quarterback with brains than wheels any day.
No.
And by all accounts, they were saying that Jameis Winston is a knucklehead, but they said when it came to football and X's and O's, that the dude, his intelligence was off the charts. So how, again, can you justify saying right now at this very minute, and I'm not saying you, this is rhetorical. How can you justify Marcus Mariota being a better prospect than Jameis Winston?
Here's my thing real quick.
It's the flavor of the month. It's the flavor of the month. Now you can dig into the eye test and the numbers and tell them, listen, Cam Newton is not good. Kaepernick is not good. Geno, not good. Manuel, not good. Bob Norbert, not good. But you can hold up that one Russell Wilson. Well, what if he's Russell Wilson? Running quarterbacks don't win. They don't win. They're not going to win, but it's the flavor of the moment. They sell tickets. They move the crowd. Go ahead, Jimmy. I didn't want me to go ahead.
No, all I want to say is I agree. I kind of understand where B. Austin's coming from, but the difference between this and what you're saying is they're not talking about off the field. They're saying that right now he's become, and this is why Dev is acting so shocked, because I am too, he's the better football prospect now. Like, and they're not even bringing up all the other stuff. So to me, it just seems like there's too much goddamn time between everything. Like, they get tired of talking about one thing, so they just change the subject to have something to talk about on these football shows. They got to put programming on for 24/7. So they just change their mind to, that to me is just too much time going on. In the words of my man, Brandon Pemberton, it's complete and utter, I'm not going to repeat the word he said, BS. But
malarkey. It's malarkey.
But you know what, though? I was thinking about what you said in terms of running quarterbacks don't win. It looks like we're headed into a place where they're going to win because there's going to be nobody left in the league but running quarterbacks. Like Manning and Brady and with a last of a dying breed.
No, but listen,
my man Aaron Rodgers doesn't run. Oh, my man Aaron Rodgers doesn't run despite the fact that he can. Aaron Rodgers only rushes 2 times a game. My man Andrew Luck Pep had him taking 300 hit. He got hit 300 times last year. He is not with
peak game. Peak what I'm getting ready to say to you, because I want you to remember I'm saying this, right? It's going to, a couple years from now, it's going to be only running quarterbacks in the league. So by proxy, a running quarterback is going to win a championship. And all the people that we argue with now.
Are you saying that because it's the evolution of the game? Or are you saying that because intelligent pocket passing is leaving? Which is it? Because I can agree.
But when you look down below, there is no really intelligent pocket passers left coming into the league. Hear me out for a second. Here's what I'm trying to say, though. All the people that we argue with now, and we tell them constantly, running quarterbacks don't win. When it starts to become the only running quarterbacks left, they're going to try to parade like they were right the whole time. You remember you said that running quarterbacks can't win?
Do that. You know people do that.
I'm just letting y'all know now. I'm letting y'all know right now that's what's coming. Because once there's nothing left for running quarterbacks and they have no choice but to win, they're going to all come in our necks. So I'm just letting y'all know right now.
Guess what
And they
that
all
is?
gonna have
Guess what
gray
that
hair.
is, though, Jimmy? That's the end. That's the end of football coming. I'm gonna tell you why. Your quarterback is your franchise player. No. Hear me out though. Is your franchise player. You cannot predicate your entire game plan on a guy who you're gonna pay tens of millions of dollars to, but he's gonna put himself in the crosshairs of Luke Kuechly's and
JJ Watts.
You gonna put him at the top of the list? Listen though,
You
what is gonna
can't
be?
put yourself.
It's gonna be
If your bread and
the
butter
quarterback.
is a guy that's going to take those type of hits, like the hits Cam Newton takes, that it's stupid. You can't. Your quarterback can't take those type of hits.
They're gonna
No,
start
but-
wearing red shirts, B. Austin. Rules will be changed.
But this
okay.
is the thing that fans don't understand, because when they're talking about quarterbacks and they're always talking about, man, we need a guy who's mobile, this and that. Yo, running quarterbacks get sacked more than pocket passers, like because they know they can run and they hold the ball. So like watch what you ask for. Everybody talking about wheels, man. I want somebody with a brain, and knows how to get the ball out, accurately. Like all that other stuff, man, it's just not that important to me in a quarterback package. But this might be the way that it's going. So, like Jimmy said, eventually they're gonna have to start winning consistently because they might be the only dudes that are left. But that'll still be a while. So it'll be a while before they can gloat. So if people want to gloat to me and the old folks home about them being right about running quarterbacks, then you go ahead and do that. All right. So I just wanted to get you guys' quick opinion on this whole thing, because it's just amazing. Because like we mentioned earlier, there hasn't been one extra second of film on either of these guys. And the film showed before that Jameis was so much more ready than Mariota. And now all of a sudden Mariota has taken a lead in a lot of people's eyes. Let's give our stat of the week before Jimmy gets us into this NBA talk, because the NBA playoffs are here. We've struggled through this whole regular season, and I do say struggle. Hopefully some good basketball will start. Probably not in the East, not yet, but the Western Conference should give us some entertainment. So our stat of the week is NBA related, and the stat is every Southwest Division team have made the NBA playoffs this season. This is the first time that this happened since the 2006 Central Division. But in 2006, when the Central Division did it, the Pacers and Bulls were both 500 at 41-41, and the Bucks were under 500 at 40-42, because you can make the playoffs in the East being below 500. This year, the eighth seed and the last team in the Southwest Division to make the playoffs, the New Orleans Pelicans, finished with a record of 45-37. So that's a crazy feat for an entire division to make the playoffs, and then their worst team still being like 4 or so games over 500. So shout out to the Southwest Division. Shout out to NBA Nation Australia and War Room Sports writer Kamal Hilton, because he actually wrote a piece for War Room Sports back on January 28th about the dominance of the Southwest Division. And I made sure I reminded him today that, you wrote this, and then all of them ended up making the playoffs. So shout out to him for that. And shout out to the Southwest Division. You got your Mavs, your Rockets, your Spurs, your Pelicans, Fly Pelicans, your Grizzlies. So shout out to everybody. Before we get into that NBA wrap, everybody check out our website, warroomsports.com, to call in and speak with us about any of today's topics, but preferably NBA playoffs. You can dial the Digital Extreme Tech hotline now, 323-410-0012. Press 1 when prompted. If you're already listening from your phone, just press 1 if you want to talk. Let's talk some hoops, fellas.
Let's go. The NBA
I've
talk
been
is brought to
patiently
you by Fanatics. For the best in your favorite team's merchandise and apparel, shop Fanatics. Shopping Fanatics is easy. warroomsports.com. Click on that Fanatics logo and go cop up. Get you some NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB, and NCAA gear and more. You can go get you some Southwest Division gear. Just go to warroomsports.com and click on that Fanatics logo. Let's talk some basketball, gentlemen. All right, now, before I give you the players of the week, I just saw something on television that I thought was a joke, but it's real. Cedric the Entertainer, right, has a TV show. This is basketball related, by the way. Cedric the Entertainer has a TV show coming out, right? That's called Cedric's Battle of the Barbers. Have you heard about it?
Yeah, I heard it on the radio I heard Cedric talking about it on Steve Harvey's show this morning.
Listen, man. Hold up. But here's how it's basketball related. It's Cedric Battle of the Barbers, where he gets barbers from all across the country to battle to see who's the best barber. But in the advertisement, they said one of the barbers is LeBron James's barber. So my question to you, Josh,
he lost already.
Why would you even advertise that?
Yo, got something across the belly? That proves you lost already.
I don't even want to watch this show now.
But you know how it is. You know how it's going to be, Jim, man. They are not like, we're going to watch this show and people can think that we're, saying that just to be saying it all you want. But whoever doesn't want to admit it, if you have any experience between wherever you're from and barbers in Philadelphia, there's a difference. So coming from where we're coming from, I have a feeling that we're going to watch this show and we're not going to be impressed with a lot of people. I'm not saying that there aren't some great barbers in other places. It's just that the consistency of what we've seen throughout our lifetime, compared to what other people think is great.
We're going to watch this show. We're going to enjoy it because we're going to laugh.
No,
it's going to be a comedy.
Dev is on this politically correct, John. I'm going to just go and say that y'all barbers is whack. If you outside of southeastern Pennsylvania, more than likely you can't cut hair. I mean, shout out to New York. There's a couple up there.
Everybody.
Strap beard is, oof. Everybody whack, man.
Yo,
sharpen your clipper game.
Just thought that was funny, man. But anyway, let's get back to the players.
And Chris Paul, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yo, Chris Paul. Oh my God! If they say his barber's on there, the show has to get canceled immediately.
Watch what happens, though, Jim. I guarantee you, because I heard Cedric say he named Philadelphia as one of the places where some of the contestants are going to be from. Guarantee you they picked the worst barber Philly probably has. They probably picked like the back chair barber from one of the better shops in the city, and come and embarrass everybody. And then
the worst barber in Philly. The worst barber in Philly is the best barber somewhere else. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yo, the only person with a worse hairline than Chris Paul is like I don't know if y'all seen the boy recently, the boy Cologino from Bronx Tale.
Bronx Tale.
Yo, I'm gonna send y'all a video of boy recently. His hairline is Terry Bell. Anyway, man, players of the week in the NBA: Isaiah Thomas and the old head Tim Duncan. And
Lil Zeke.
This is the other Isaiah Thomas.
Lil
Zeke. Get their numbers?
Yes, sir. Isaiah Thomas led the Celtics, who are the 7th seed in the East, by the way. Shout out to Brad Stevenson. They went 3-0, which included a pair of wins over Cleveland and one over Detroit. He averaged 22.7 points, 5.7 assists, 2.7 rebounds. He had 34 on 10 of 17 shooting and 6 assists in a win over the Pistons. Tim Duncan, as 3D calls him, Old Man Riverboat. The Spurs went 4-0. Which was crazy because remember, for most of the season, the Spurs were hovering around like the 6 or 7 mark. It seems like they hit that switch late in the season and said, we're going to move up. They moved up to 2, but the mix was so crazy in the Western Conference. They lost that game on the last day of the season, dropped them all the way back down to 6. But they had a 4-0 week before, this past week with the Pelicans. They had an 11-game winning streak. He averaged 17.3 points, 9.8 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 3.3 blocks, and 1.5 steals. So Tim Duncan was balling for his age and got the Spurs back in striking distance of one of the better seeds, but then they blew it against a very, very inspired Pelicans team on the last night of the season. So shout out to those two.
Yeah, shout out to those two for the players of the week. But let's talk about the players of the year, or should we say the MVP race? I want to get you guys' opinions. And now,
can I tell y'all something? Because it's been on my mind for a while, and I ain't had no platform to say it. I got that NBA app on my phone. So
Yeah.
every night during the season, they basically send you alerts when somebody's going to be out, whether it's injury or whatever. I got so many alerts on my phone this year of big name players being out that night. And a lot of them were just saying just to rest, due to rest. And I just wanted to say that because we talked about that a lot and how things are like different these days in the NBA. And I mean, it's something that you can't totally I guess I can understand, but it's a different mind state because I'm just used to people.
It's funny you say that.
I'm just used to people wanting to be out there to kill every night.
I was watching when they were showing the Dream Team. And remember that iconic photo with like Magic, Larry, and Michael? And they were talking to them, and they actually had brought that up way back then. And the three of them were talking about how Larry, they were talking to Larry specifically because remember his back was bad at the time. And the three of those guys were like, listen, when we go to play, you never know who's in the crowd. This could be their one chance to see you play. So we try to push through whatever and play. Like they just happen to be having this conversation with those three guys. So it's one of those things where I don't want to fall into victim of what I told you earlier, like everything I'm doing my day was better. But it's funny you bring that up because we didn't talk about this off air, but I was just watching that on some sort of Dream Team documentary I was watching. But it's funny you bring that up.
I just felt, Jim, I felt that I had to bring it up because the season is over now. And it's been building, like it's been boiling up for me throughout the season because I get like 7 alerts per day. Such and such is out tonight due to resting. And even on the last day of the season, the last 3 games of the season, you had dudes from bad teams like the Kings shut down DeMarcus Cousins and Rudy Gay.
Why are you shutting down? Y'all ain't going nowhere.
What are you shutting them down for? Like, Yo, y'all are garbage. So this is the game. Somebody might have got some tickets. Like, man, I couldn't get tickets all year, but people giving away these late season tickets. This may be the game when a dude like Rudy Gay or DeMarcus Cousins go for 50 because they have nothing left to play for. So they just go out there and gun. But you're shutting cats down like that. Like LeBron came across the alert so many times. He's just resting. Like, I'm like, come on, man. We gotta do better. I'm sorry. I just need to get that out.
No, it's a good conversation because I think part of it.
Tickets cost too much money, yo.
And also part of it is like monkey see, monkey do. Like basically, Pop was like, people want to follow suit. He started the nonsense, and they were like, "Man, we could do that." It's kind of like people didn't even realize they could do it until he did do it. So it's monkey see, monkey do, and it's also like we live in a society where it's like championship or bust. It's like if you don't win a championship of the season, your complete season is a failure. So people try to think strategically, like I want to have him resting for this game and that game, and they by proxy don't put full effort. And this is why when you try to watch the regular season, it's just not enjoyable anymore. Some people say it's a matter of super team. It's not a matter of super team. It's a matter that cats just don't go hard every game.
Yeah, and Jim, imagine if you live in a city with a terrible team. Imagine if you're from our city right now, Philadelphia. You're only going to the games this season. You're only going to the games this season to see the superstars on the other team because Philly doesn't have any superstars. So you get you know how it is in Philly. It's an event. It's a big name in town. So you get your tickets and everything, and all the chicks, they wearing their best stuff. So you gotta wear your best stuff because the chicks are gonna be there. So you're spending a lot of money on this, and then you find out like LeBron not even playing that night. So you did all this to watch, like Shumpert do his thing. Like, come on, man. Like,
yes, I am.
Tickets
so
cost too much.
We decided against those season tickets that we were like 2 seconds from buying. I'm so glad we decided against that. That's the best non-purchase of last year in my life. But it's a great point by you, man, because I definitely see it.
I just wanted to say that, I mean, these dudes are soft, dude.
I got you.
Yeah, and it's also they got other things to protect, man. They got other things to take care of. Basketball, nothing but a hustle.
Listen. The end of this conversation is rather than do the dunk contest or participate in the skills or whatever else was going on, these dudes did a fashion.
True.
They do.
Yo, I'm waiting for somebody to have the gumption to literally come on and say it. Like, yo, this is my hustle. I want somebody to say that because we all know that's how they feel.
Like, be real. Be real.
Like, yo, this is just my hustle. I don't care as much as y'all do. But what did LeBron say a couple years ago? Y'all can go back to y'all miserable life. Anyway,
You clowns.
yeah, we clown the whole world. But anyway, speaking of LeBron, he's one of the names mentioned amongst the MVP race. He said he would vote for himself. But gentlemen, the season's over now. Give me your top two MVP candidates and your thoughts on the MVP race this year. And Dev, let's start with you because you ain't been around in 6 months.
Yeah, I haven't been around, and things heated up late in the season. And for the listeners out there, we're just gonna give our top two because we're giving all our awards out next week. My top two would have been at this point, I think Harden and Westbrook, but I just think by default, since the Oklahoma City Thunder didn't make the playoffs, I think Westbrook definitely has to fall out of the mix. And my top two would have to be Harden and Steph Curry at this point. Shout out to Anthony Davis though, because he had an MVP caliber season, and the last game of the season when he absolutely had to have it in a game that the Spurs were trying to win, he went out there and dominated the Spurs and got his team into the playoffs. So shout out to him as well. But I go Harden.
All right, for me, I'll be very brief. I'm going to stay with the same two guys I've been battling back and forth in terms of who's going to win it, Harden and Curry. I think Curry is getting the push. We know the endorsements. We know he's a light-skinned brother. So he's going to get the push. I mean, to the point now where they show him shooting threes in practice on like Sports Center and all the different news. Like, he did make 94 out of 100. So why are we watching his practice though? Like for real, like why are we watching him practice? I mean, it's to the point where they're showing his practice. So he's definitely getting the push.
They're trying to ingrain him into the voters' minds, yo. They're trying to ingrain him into the voters' minds. How can you watch that and not be impressed? But it's like, why are we watching it anyway? Like, so and they say like,
get it. I mean, his team is.
The team made like 77 straight threes in practice or something like that. Not just him, but
team. Yeah, I thought it was him. It was the team.
He made 94 out of 100.
Jeez. Yo, yeah. I could shoot. I can't shoot like that.
Yeah.
For me, it's the Beard and Curry. I enjoy watching Steph play even more than the Beard. Don't get me wrong. I love watching the Beard go out there and put work in. Pause. But Steph brings an element to the game of showmanship and even relatability. Even though you have to realize and understand that he's a superhuman athlete, it feels like you're watching someone that you would play with on the playground doing it. It feels like you're watching somebody deal with the Monstars and clown them when you watch him play. That's why
it's like those floaters.
Yeah, because he's like, he's 6'2", 170 pounds. He looks like he's 12 years old. He's not big. He's not strong. He's not muscular. You're like, this is just a regular human, and he is killing these cats. So I probably would enjoy seeing him get it. When I get technical, like down to the nitty gritty, I think it's James Harden that deserves it because James Harden plays with a team that is devoid in a lot of cases of talent. His point guard cannot comb his hair and can't do anything.
And his point guard got hurt, so he even lost.
Yeah, so he's gone. Josh Smith comes off the bench and is the most frustrating man in the world. Terrence Young, you've heard my spiel on it. The center doesn't do anything, but whatever. So I'm going with Harden. I think Harden should win it. I do.
Here's my thing though. It's Harden. So it's Harden. You say Harden and Steph, but we all say the same thing. But real quick, I was thinking about this though. LeBron left Miami. They don't make the playoffs, and he goes to Cleveland, who is like the worst team in the league, and they're the number 2 seed. So
but that's because LeBron stacks the deck when he goes places, though.
No,
LeBron
of course he does.
Yeah. LeBron he stacks the deck before he gets there. Yeah,
and
I think LeBron, and I think LeBron definitely the second half of the season he definitely played his way high into this race. He started off the season a little slow for LeBron's speed.
Mm-hmm.
The funny thing is they just announced today that starting in the 2015-2016 season, they're going to be testing players for HGH. And I was like, uh-oh, LeBron might come back like
they're gonna give him this MVP too. They're gonna give him this one too. Last one for him.
he might come back like 196 pounds. But because he had to get off the stuff. No, but if you think about it, remember he lost all of that weight. Like when this is speculation, but this and it's not like, I'm not totally sincere, but I'm not going to act like this really didn't cross my mind in a serious way. But remember before the season when we were talking about LeBron lost all that weight or whatever, and then the season started and he wasn't playing up to LeBron's standards. Seemed like he gained the weight back and then he jumped into that MVP race. So I'm sitting here thinking like maybe LeBron was already on HGH. Maybe he stopped using it, lost all of that weight during the offseason, gave all the credit to the change in his diet, started the season, realized he wasn't the same player without it, and then came out looking like Hercules again, and then jumped into the top 4 of the MVP race. But that's just wild.
Adam Silver is LeBron's son, so it doesn't matter what happens, he's going to be protected.
Yeah, if he ever tested positive, I don't think they would even announce it. Like, I told somebody
we would never know.
They wouldn't announce that. Yeah,
he would never know. He's going to be out with exhaustion for a week, but that's not going to be a real story. Anyway, let's move on to Russell Westbrook, who seemed to, because they didn't make the playoffs, fall out. Although I'm personally rooting for him still to win the MVP, just because it seemed. I want to root for the bad guy. He's like the bad guy.
Hey, Jim, I'm not even gonna hold y'all. The Pelicans lose that game last night. If I had a vote, Russell Westbrook would be the MVP. If the Pelicans lose that game and they eke into the 8th spot, Russell Westbrook, in my opinion, would be the MVP. But it's like,
what?
I don't like to go on the general rules and criteria, but I wouldn't even. I can't even bring it upon myself to give the MVP to somebody who didn't make the playoffs. But like I said, the Pelicans lose that game. To me, that's Russell's award.
Yo, my man Jerry West won the finals MVP and he lost in the finals.
Balled out and lost.
What Russell Westbrook does night in and night out, I would vote for him because I don't know that we've ever seen the level of athleticism that he like. I don't think he plays basketball. That's what I like. I've come to the conclusion that what he's doing out there is not playing basketball. Like he looks like it's nuts, man.
He's playing athletics.
He's playing athletics. He's playing athletics.
We've seen possible better athletes, but not from the point guard position. But from that position, he's like, in essence, a revolutionary player. I mean, you're going to start seeing guys that, try to play a point guard position with his skill set. But to me, he's like the bad guy. Everybody seems he gets so much hate and vitriol that makes me root for him. That sounds kind of weird, but it's true. To that point, Kobe defended Russell Westbrook on Twitter after people came to Russell Westbrook's neck. He scored 51 points in the game and shot the ball like 43 times. Even though he shot it like close to 50% or over 50%.
Shot 49%.
People still came at his neck. Yeah, people still came at his neck. And Kobe defended him. Kobe gonna defend anybody that's shooting the ball. And he also defended LeBron. What do you guys think about Kobe? The elder statesman defending the guys in the league.
I have his tweets about Russell Westbrook.
Go ahead and read him.
He put up a meme of Liz Lemon from 30 Rock making this face, and he put 54, 9, and 8 assists, 49% from the field, but all media cares about is the 43 field goal attempts. #stop it. And then his next tweet said, what all-time great went 19 for 43 in game 3 NBA finals loss? #look it up. #only rings matter. #by any means. And of course he's talking about MJ because we all know he's done it. And then his last tweet said, people always find a way to critique. Only way to shut up critic is to win. That's the challenge myself and MJ accepted. #can't critique rings. So Kobe, it was a very self-serving series of tweets, but he was defending Russell Westbrook at the same time.
But when you think about
he definitely propped up himself a lot in that.
When you think about it, he's right. Just past week, I was watching the 30 for 30, the Bad Boys Pistons. Even though I've seen it before, I just enjoyed the 30 for 30 so much that I rewatch them. And when you look at like the media's coverage of Jordan before they won, when the Pistons were like basically just beating him up, and the Pistons, they were killing Mike. He's selfish.
He was
He's
Russell.
bad.
He was Kobe.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my point. So Kobe's right. Once you win the championship, everything's looked at with different glasses.
Yeah, I think that Russell Westbrook is cut from a different cloth. He is much closer to what
Cut from that Kente cloth.
Yeah, MJ, Kobe, AI. Hell, you could even throw the Iceman in there. Bernard King, Zeke. Those guys. They shot the ball, and there was no guilt involved with shooting the ball. And if you miss 16, then you got to take 17, 18, 19, and 20. He had no problem with it. And we all know from my past history on this program, I ain't got no problem with him shooting the ball. I think he didn't shoot enough that game.
Real quick though, on Twitter, at Casey Mack chimed in about our previous conversation with MVP. He said Davis should have won it, but he missed a lot of games. He said Curry is a better defender than Harden. And also he says HGH, not only LeBron, but Westbrook and D12 should watch out too.
I agree.
Hey, before we move on, Jim, let me tell you the tweets, or let me read the tweets about LeBron. Because Kobe was actually saying some of the stuff that you were just saying, Jim. He was like, media critique. MJ was a gunner. Magic was a coach killer. Shaq wasn't serious. LBJ couldn't handle pressure. Spurs are too old. # before rings. His next tweet said, the point is we all go through it. The criticism, the praise, the wins, the losses, the hero, the villain. It's a beautiful cycle. # love it. # process. And then a fan said something to Kobe about LeBron has yet to prove that he can win without two other superstars. So Kobe tweeted him, LBJ doesn't need to prove that, at Paul Brahan, whatever the dude's name was. He said, I had Shaq plus Powell plus MJ had Pip, Magic had Worthy plus Kareem, etc. And we all had great teammates. So, Kobe has a lot of time on his hands because he's always injured now. So he's holding court on Twitter. And he's getting into these debates that we've been in for years when he was too busy working and balling. Yeah, no doubt.
Despite what people think about Mike, no one has won a championship by themselves in the history of the league. Not Bill Russell, not Wilt, not Mike, not Magic, not Bird, not nobody. You can't win a championship by yourself. You just can't.
I love Mike, Jim, but Mike is the biggest subject of revisionist history that I've ever seen in my life. Ever.
I mean, that's because Nike. That's because of Nike.
Yo,
I blame
Mike
Nike.
had
I blame
no
Nike.
teammates. It was Mike against them.
I agree.
Mike had arguably.
When I was young, I did for a minute too. And I had to get older to realize that them teams were stacked.
Two teammates that are in the Hall of Fame. Yo, Ron Harper neutered his game to come to the Bulls. Ron Harper was averaging like 28 and 8. Ron Harper
was advertised as one of Mike's biggest competitors when he first came into the league. Like, this is
exactly Ron Harper was
he's going to be as good as this dude. I mean, he wasn't as good as Mike, but he was good enough to have to, dumb down his game to play with them dudes. And his knees.
This stuttering ass came over there and just ran triangle on 1-2 chips and played well though. Played well, played great defense, played well.
I played defense.
Actually ended up playing the point guard a lot too. Ron Harper was not a point guard.
I want the knife. Anyway, with all that being said, man, let's jump into this week's playoffs. Let's give some picks though and talk a little bit about these playoffs coming up. In the Eastern Conference, we got the 1 versus the 8, the Hawks and the Nets. Real briefly for me, I do not believe in the Hawks as a 1 seed. I think they're a tremendous team, but for some reason, I just don't believe in them as a 1 seed. But I think they're going to beat the Nets. What do you guys think?
They're going to blow the Nets out of existence.
Well, I see the Hawks beating the Nets in probably about 6 games. I think the Nets can sneak a couple in there just because of, the nucleus they have. They have a couple of veterans, a couple of playoff tested guys. That Thabo Sefolosha loss to the Police is going to be, it's going to be a factor, man. That's their best perimeter defender. It might not be that much of a factor in the first round, but as the number one seed tries to navigate its way through these playoffs, it's going to show. It's going to show. But I got the Hawks in 6.
Let me find out the pigs will determine who wins the East. But go ahead, B. Austin.
I got the Hawks in 6, and I only say that as a matter of respect to Joe Johnson, and because my man ISO Joe shows up in the playoffs and he will isolate and get 30 at least one of them games. So yeah, I see him winning 2, and Brook Lopez is good when he's healthy, so I can see him getting 2. There's no way.
What happened to Darren Williams though? Why he ain't nice no more?
I don't know.
Why Darren Williams ain't nice no more?
I used to fly the flag for him, man. I'm real disappointed in that cat.
Let me find out that was Jerry Sloan's system though.
My man Paul Pierce said that he just didn't want it.
All right, next game, the number 2 seed Cavaliers versus the 7 Celtics. Yo, the fact that the Celtics made the playoffs is hilarious because we thought they were all taken for the draft and actually in the playoffs. Y'all got the Cavs winning this joint in 4.
That's why they ain't gonna get no better because they made the playoffs.
I got the Cavs. Yeah.
People better learn how to tank. Shout out to the Sixers.
I got the Cavs in 3.
They're not gonna show up for game 4. No, the ironic part about this, because I have the Cavs in the sweep as well, but the ironic part about this is they split in the regular season. But that really doesn't mean anything because, as Jimmy told you guys earlier, dudes don't go hard every night, and I would have to look back at the game logs and see if LeBron even played in all these games.
Yeah, Brown was chilling.
Yeah, I got the Cavs in 4 as well. That'll be a sweep.
So we all got that as a sweep.
He's a conference first round.
I love Isaiah Thomas's game, but he too little. Kyrie will give him 75.
Right.
Yeah, he getting buckets.
Next series. I'm interested to see this series because the Bucks are a team that's on the come up. Shout out to Michael Carter Williams. So, the Bulls versus the Bucks, 3 versus 6. What do you guys think about the series? I got the Bulls winning in 6.
I got the Bulls in 5. I think it'll be 5 hard-fought games, maybe 4 hard-fought games. But I got the Bulls winning in 5. The Bucks really have been going in an opposite direction since they made the trade. Like, I'm not one of those people that's going to pile all of that on Michael Carter Williams' head, but maybe it's a chemistry thing. You know what I'm saying? And the chemistry just hasn't been there in the after the trade deadline. So I got the Bulls if Derrick Rose can stay healthy, which is a big if. I got the Bulls in 5.
I got the Bulls in. I got the Bulls in 6 if Derrick Rose can stay healthy, and I got the Bulls in 7 if Derrick Rose gets injured. The Bucks are going.
It's a shame we got to even bring that up.
I know you got to give 2 different joints for him.
Gaining valuable experience, and I think in 2 seasons they are going to be a force to be reckoned with if you can keep people playing in Milwaukee. Michael Carter Williams is going to surprise a lot of people going head to head with Derrick Rose too. I think. I think we're in for.
If you can get in a couple of years, if you can get that team to play defense commensurate with its length, how are you going to score in this team? How you going to score in this?
Can I just point out that Giannis Antetokounmpo, my man Giannis Antetokounmpo, he doesn't even have a position. He can play the one.
Super fragile Espialidocious. He nice.
Plus what's going to happen? They want to show promise. They want to show promise next year, and the following year, LeBron going to sign in Milwaukee. So they're definitely going to be. But anyway, we all got the Bulls in that series.
Jumping.
LeBron like Waldo, where he at now? All right, Raptors. Speaking of that though, this is a sidebar, This past week I've been watching a lot of documentaries, Do y'all ever notice how Jesse Jackson is everywhere in history? I'm talking about everywhere because my man was he was MLK.
Firm is everywhere.
Jesse literally is everywhere, That's a side note. Anyway,
I saw him riding on the back of a T-Rex one time.
Yo, my man has been everywhere throughout. He's like Forrest Gump. But anyway, the Raptors and Wizards, man. 4 Raptors, 5 Wizards. This should be a good series.
Should be the best series in the East.
I'm going to pick the Wizards to win this. I'm going to pick the Wizards to win this in 7 games. I
think the Wizards is another team that, I didn't have the expectations that a lot of people had early in the season of them, but I still had high expectations. And I think they're another team that's been going kind of in the opposite direction, maybe since the All-Star break. But the Raptors haven't done what they did in the first half of the season either. So maybe both of these teams are going in the wrong direction. But, Kyle Lowry just got healthy. He's going to be playing, put up like 26 last night. I'm going to go with the Raptors. I want to say 6, but I think the Wizards will get off the deck, a little bit in this, and I think it'll go down to the wire. So I'm going to say the Raptors in 7 against the Wizards.
It's funny because you just said something. I think I want to change my pick to the Raptors in 7, and it's for one reason. That 7th game is going to be in Toronto, and Drake's going to pay the officials. So I'm going to make a switch because I can't see the Wizards. I can't see the Wizards going up to what they call themselves. We are the North. I can't see the Wizards going up there and winning 7 on the road. So if it goes 7, I'm definitely picking the Raptors in 7.
Didn't Drake slay Mrs. Bosch too? I definitely had Toronto in 7. I got Toronto in 7 because the Wizards are a grand disappointment to me. We all know that I went way out on a limb, and I've already said that John Wall will be the best point guard in the world within the next 3 seasons.
Way out.
If he's going to be that, he gotta step it way up, man. And
all right, well, let's move on to
every night.
Let's move on to the West because we got 10 minutes. Let's move on to the West. This is what we all want to see anyway because you look at these matchups. Oh my God, Warriors number 1 versus number 8 Pelicans. I'm taking the Warriors in 6.
Fly Pelicans.
They're just too deep of a team. Who y'all got? Warriors, Pelicans.
I really want to give the Pelicans 2 games, but I got the Warriors in 5.
I think they're going tripping.
I think Anthony Davis is going to show out, but I think it's not going to be enough. I mean, not that they don't have other talent, because Pelicans are talented, but they're kind of inexperienced. I got Golden State in 5.
Listen, I got Golden State in 5. I think Jimmy is tripping, giving them 2 games, and they are only going to get that one.
I'm on the Anthony Davis bandwagon right now, man.
Yeah, I'm with you. They're gonna, because the Warriors fans are basically gonna say this is a sweep, and Anthony Davis is gonna bring that commercial back out and say, I would disagree. So I think I have them getting one game because of Anthony and Tariq.
They're gonna win 1 game, and then I think they're gonna win another game. Anthony Davis is gonna have one of Hakeem Olajuwon games where he has like 20, 12, 11, 10, and 8. Some Hakeem Olajuwon game. Anyway, next series, number 2 Rockets versus the number 7 Mavericks. Yo, I'm picking the Mavericks in a total upset right here. Just because I don't want to pick all chalk throughout this whole playoff. So I'm picking the Mavericks in a total upset. We know the Bears struggles historically in the playoffs, but we'll see.
Yeah, you know what? That's something that I didn't take into account until you said it, because I have down here on my paper the Rockets in 6, because I was just thinking the Beard is going to outduel, Dirk in the series. But that is something to take into consideration, man. Like, I'm gonna keep my pick, Rockets in 6, but Jimmy just made me real nervous about that pick. Dude ain't showed up in the playoffs yet.
Chandler Parsons is going to show up and show out because he got a problem with the Rockets letting him go. He feels as though he's the second best player on that team, and I would tend to agree with him for obvious reasons. Jimmy, I really don't think this is as much of an upset as you make it seem, because to me,
well, 7-2. I mean, I'm talking about from the season.
They only have the beard. They have the beard. Them other dudes suspect, yo. Them other dudes.
So you're saying, man. You saying after Chandler finished with them, the Rockets going to be saying,
want that old thing back?
Yes, absolutely. I'll say I'm gonna say Mavericks in 7.
Okay.
And I think the Bears should get the MVP, but he got no help. He got Kenny. He got the jet. That's all he got.
Yo,
Second jet.
the next series. This is an interesting series. I want to see what you guys think about this. The number 3 Clippers versus the number 6 Spurs. Like, this would be very, very interesting. I don't even know who to pick yet, so y'all can go first.
Bye Clips. You sold out again. Spurs in 6.
Ooh.
Bye Clips.
Spurs and 5. Look. I want you to ignore the starting lineup. I want you to ignore the starting lineup. Ignore the starting lineups and look at the Clippers bench and look at the Spurs bench. The Clippers bench is one person, and he's coming back off injury. One of my personal favorites, Jamal Ironnet starts that. That's it.
He tries everything to improve that bench. He
got
tries
Austin.
everything to improve that bench, but he can't get right. My man went and picked up Big Baby, Austin Rivers. He picked up his son. Like, he can't get right on that bench. That's a great point.
Yo, Jamal
But Jen,
Crawford
I'm gonna
scores all their points off the bench.
I'm gonna go with the Spurs. I think the Spurs are gonna give people another reason to keep giving Chris Paul that pass for not doing anything in the playoffs.
Damn, because
Shots
part of me
fired.
wants to pick the Spurs because the author said they're just a better team overall in terms of the definite. But the Clippers I'm going to ride with the Spurs as well. I'm taking the Spurs in 6. The Popovich factor is the playoffs. It's time to turn up. And lately they've been damn near the hottest team in the league, if not the hottest team in the league.
Yo, Jimmy, outside of Jamal Crawford, none of the Clippers bench players even matter in life.
I guarantee y'all the Clippers are hot right now with the Pelicans. You know damn well when they won that game last night, the Clippers were like, "Come on, son, come on, son."
Now here is the 4-5 matchup in the West. We have
This might
the
be the
Portland
hardest
Trailblazers.
joint to pick. I still haven't.
This is another one. This Western Conference is tough, yo. I cannot wait. Can't wait. Trailblazers are the 4 seed. Grizzlies are the 5 seed. Be off. Who you got?
Grizzlies, easy. Gangsters don't die. They moved to Miami. Gangsters don't die.
This is true. Yeah. Thanks for reminding me. With that being said, I'm taking the Grizzlies too, yo. As long as my man Zach Randolph is there, I'm riding with the Grizzlies, man.
My initial thought when I finally made a decision, I want to say Grizzlies in 7, and I'm mad we only got a minute left because this is a good series, and I'm mad this was last because I really would like to talk about the series, but we'll do that on War Room Sports TV.
Court Vision.
So y'all check out Court Vision. It should be coming at you probably Saturday. But my initial thought was Grizzlies in 7, but then I'm like, all right, for them to win in 7, that means they have to win on the road in a game 7 in the Rose Garden, if they even still call it that. But I'm gonna go ahead and say that. I'm gonna say Grizzlies in 7. I'll say they're gonna go up there in a game 7 and punk the Blazers in their own house. So Grizzlies 7.
6.
I'm sticking to that.
Yeah, I was going to say 6 games as well, man. Shout out to B. Austin for reminding me that gangsters don't die. They just get chubby and move to Miami, because the Memphis Grizzlies represent the basketball we were talking about, that 80s, 90s basketball.
So what if I can't? Jump? I can always punch you in the face. I can't jump, but I can punch you in the face, though. How about that?
Yo, they play bully ball, man. With that being said, man, any last thoughts about this season before we get out of here, man?
Season was trash. Thank you, Steph. I appreciate you. Good looking out. Klay Thompson scoring 37 and a half all the time.
In a quarter, and then 26 in the quarter recently.
Yo,
Yeah,
I
but
just want to say FOH.
76ers 2019 NBA champions. Mark it down. You heard it here first.
I just want to say FOH to the NBA for continuously marketing me into buying the NBA package, which I say I'm never going to buy next year. So this is the time where I tell you guys I'm not buying it next year. So we'll see what happens, but I'm saying it now.
Jim, they automatically renew me.
Anyway.
I think I might renege next year. Like, no, take that charge out.
No doubt, man. Let's get out of here, though. Thanks for joining us in the world, good people. Shout out to everyone in the chat room on Facebook, Twitter, and people we couldn't get to because we have so much to talk about. We apologize. Call us back next week. Tune in next time. Same place, right here, on demand on the WRS Podcast Network. You'll hear a lot of great sports talk, hip-hop, social issues, whatever. We'll check in next week on the progress of the first round of these NBA playoffs and, of course, discuss all the other big stories in the world of sports. So until then, enjoy your week and, come back next week, next Thursday. Be sure to catch our conversations on Facebook and Twitter. That's at War Room Sports. You can see our blogs, our webcasts, our network podcasts. Everything that we do can be found at warroomsports.com. That's warroomsports.com. Until next time, everybody, don't accept mediocrity. Be steadfast in the war against ignorance, and we'll see you chumps on top.
6 to 8. Yeah. War Room Sports. Y'all ready? Let's go. Stay in tune to Jimmy. Know the blueprint. Yo, every Thursday, 6 to 8, they do this. Shout out to Dev, PJ, B. Austin, Doc Bay on replay. WarRoomSports.com. Get that mobile app. If not, dial 323-140012. They be going and you sensitive, then oh well. Yeah. Physical podcast, let's talk sports. Showtime like Magic in the box course. Listen live, push one to join in. Rip your team or listen for your enjoyment. Hip hop scholars, pit stop and knowledge. Should be in sports credits, I ain't talking college. 5 guys, no beef though. Corporate secret, but the streets know. Belafonte, I got a G flow. KC royalty, I'm in beast mode. 2 hours, get your game up. Who's the best in sportscast? You better name us. War Room Sports. Yeah, you know, Jimmy, Dev, DJ, Shot Back, B. Austin. I'm chopped. Up and coming on the beat.
War Room Sports. www.warroomsports.com. What? Ain't no more to it.